Hello and welcome back to the another episode of the Hindu News Analysis. Well, it is 1st November today, and in this video, we are going to discuss some important articles which are very much relevant for your prelims as well as mains preparation. So, from today, we are going to discuss these articles every day. We are going to upload these videos every day. If you are my regular visitors, then I'm really sorry, guys. I was not able to upload continuously my videos here because of some specific reasons. But from today, one thing I'm very much sure about that I will not delay. I will upload every day and discuss these important concepts with you. Now, without any delay, let us start our discussion. But before, I would like to pinpoint few important things what we are going to discuss with respect to these articles. First of all, we are going to establish the common understanding of the article by looking at the summary of the article. What does the author wants to convey us? We'll try to understand that. What are the key points given in the article? How it can be relevant for your preparation? How the questions can be asked? This is what we are going to understand, establish the discussion with respect to every article. Then we are going to pinpoint the important points which were given in the article from where you can expect the questions to be asked in the exam. So what we are going to do, we are going to look at the key points in the article, and at the end we look at the possible prelims or mains question, whichever can be framed from the article. So this is the approach which we are going to have with respect to every article what we are going to discuss here. Now, without any delay, let's start our discussion by looking at the first article. Well, the article, as the title here is very much evident. It is about the consent. As let me repeat the title for you guys. It is about the consent is all. There must be an intolerance of sexual violence with support for survivors. So, what does this article talk about? What is the context of the article? Basically, you have to understand few things. you know the article here has established with the case study it has done here with respect to the French woman. There was a French woman who was married, and she alleged that her husband used to force himself on her, and also her husband used her body. She was used by many of his friends. So this case is a typical kind of a marital rape. And this case, the judiciary in the France, they had established the definition. They established the definition of rape. It is not all about the force that people will force themselves on you. It is actually, it has related the rape with the concept, that is the concept of consent. Concept of consent. So, in this regard, the article here highlights how the definition of rape has been established through this case study, and how it can be applied in India too, where women go through lot of trouble, but unfortunately, they are not able to, you know, they are not able to register their cases because of the patriarchy related to it, because of the various issues related to it, the stigma related to it, the blaming of victim related to it. And because of all these issues, the women who are victims of the rape, they are not able to highlight their issues. And at the same time, the article also talks about the marital rape concept. If we will talk about it, well, yet this concept of marital rape, it has not been endorsed by our law system, if I will be more precise. But a kind of, which is very much relevant to marital rape, has been established under BNS, where what has given there that if a married woman, if a divorced woman, if there is a divorced couple and the divorced man imposes himself on that woman, then that would be considered as the marital rape. But in the rather, in normal conditions, yet the definition of the marital rape, the concept of the marital rape, has not been endorsed by our laws yet. So this is the current situation here. So in this article, the author has highlighted every issue what are faced by the woman, and how this case study which they had established here, it can help the Indian government to frame the laws which eventually can help the woman. So this is the basic summary of the article. What does this article here wants to convey you guys? Now let's have a look at the key points one by one. Let's try to analyze them. Here, what is the principle? Let's repeat it. The new French law established that force is the crime. If you are forcing yourself, whether it is your wife or it is your fiance, whatever it would be, if you force and there is no consent from her, it would be a crime. And it has defined and defines rape as any non-consensual sexual act. How it has defined rape? It has defined rape as any non-consensual sexual act. This new French law. What are the legal cornerstone to it? This law establishes consent and sexual autonomy as a foundation of the judicial process. So it has established there should be consent, and there is something called sexual autonomy. That if a woman is not willing to have the sex, she should not be forced to have sex, whether they are married or unmarried. This is happening in the France, as it is very much evident. With respect to India, I had already pointed out that to you guys. And what is the catalyst to it? The legislation was a direct response to urgent societal calls, significantly propelled by the case of Giselle Pellicot. This name is not that relevant for you, but for your answer writing, if you want to remember it, do remember, you can highlight this there, and it will definitely fetch good marks to you guys. Whose fight against her husband for drugging and allowing her rape by multiple men led to 51 convictions. So, this is the background of this case. Now let's move forward and see what does the article further tell. Now it connects this to the global and Indian context challenge. What are the various challenges faced throughout women in the globe and especially in India? First, arduous journey. Survivors worldwide face an extremely difficult path in bringing cases to court, as we had highlighted, which is often unattainable for women from disadvantaged backgrounds. If the woman is from the disadvantaged background, then it is almost unattainable for them. Then also the stigma and the victim blaming. Survivors face immense social stigma and painful public judgment, including explicit instances of victim blaming by leaders in countries like India. And we had seen that whenever there are cases like, when you would have recently heard of that Australian women's team, they were molested, and there were few leaders who pointed out that it was their fault, they should have not gone to that place, or their dressing should have been much desirable to the men. So this is the victim blaming which often is seen in our country. This is what it has highlighted. Then also the low conviction rate, despite legal provisions, even though we have very strong legal provisions with respect to rapes, but still there are very less convictions related to it. Lack the recognition of criminal force in India's Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita section 129, conviction rates for rape remain discouragingly uh, low at 27%, 28% between 2018 and 2022 as per NCRB, National Crime Records Bureau data. So this is what the issues are faced. Now let's move forward and let's try to understand further points here. Then here the article gives us the way forward also for true prevention and justice. Holistic approach should be there. There should be the holistic approach. Establishing sexual autonomy in law is just the first step. Preventing sexual violence requires a comprehensive strategy. There should be a comprehensive strategy for that. Well, with respect to marital rape, there should be the well established definitions, but at the same time, that thing can be misused. That is very much evident. So, there should be a proper balance between the two things. Then also the societal change. This involves shaping community views on gender roles and dismantling rigid patriarchal codes through law and awareness programs starting early. This should be started very early from the kindergarten schools. Then what is the institutional reform? Required steps including orienting the police force to these principles and funneling resources into assisting survivors cope with trauma. They should be given the assistance. Those survivors, they had gone through the huge trauma, and it is the duty of the police, it is the duty of the government, it is the duty of the society to help them rather than to blame them. Then Government commitments, the author calls for governments to demonstrate complete intolerance for sexual violence and a commitment to stand by survivors, employing empathy throughout the investigation and trial process. Whenever there is the investigation and trial process, the victims, they are highly vulnerable because of the questions they go through, because of the way the questions are asked to them. So the government should show them the empathy, show them the support, give them this moral encouragement to them so that they can withstand this trauma. So this is what the article here talks about. Now with this, what kind of question you can expect in your mains exam? You can, if you want to write the answer to that question, here is the question, and here is my mail id: salvation upsc 136 at the rate gmail.com. If you want to write answer to this question, please do write on this mail ID, and I would definitely like to check it for you guys. What is the question? The efficacy of criminal laws in addressing crimes of sexual violence is often hampered not just by low conviction rates but also by deeply ingrained patriarchal codes and institutional biases that perpetuate victim blaming. Now, the question says critically discuss the necessity of shifting the legal focus from proof of resistance to the absolute primacy of consent in defining sexual crimes. Furthermore, such as socio legal and administrative reforms required to ensure survivors receive justice with dignity and to dismantle the entrenched stigma within the community and the justice delivery system. Please do write it in 250 words. Try to practice the questions. Your exams are now only 6 months away. So, this is the prime time for you guys to practice the questions. You have 3 months now where you can practice for the mains. Then, from January onwards, February, Feb, March, and April, these 3 months are particular for prelims. If you want to address your main syllabus, it is the prime time. This November month, this December month, and January month. These 3 months are prime time for you to cover your mains, to have the good answer writing skills, and if you will do it, you will definitely qualify. Now, with this, let's move to the another article and let's see what it is about. Well, the article here is basically talking about the United Nation, how it has been insignificant, even though we are going to celebrate the 80th anniversary of United Nations, but still it has been insignificant. There are various loopholes which the author has highlighted with respect to United Nations here. So, in this regard, let's see what are the issues highlighted by the author and what can be the solutions to that. Here, what is the core problem in the UN peacekeeping? As with respect to UN peacekeeping, also it has highlighted first, institutional wide, the UN lacks a dedicated body to maintain political accompaniment. Once mediation efforts fade and violence slows, even though UN peacekeeping has been very much helpful in solving the violence issues, but once it fades away, then there is no political accompaniment with respect to UN, which it lacks, so that there could be the political stability. Often we had seen whenever there is violence, then the country goes into the civil wars, and it shows that how UN peacekeeping eventually is not that successful. So this is one of the issue highlighted by the author here. Then United Nations Security Council's limitation, the UNSC is described as structurally episodic, reacting to conflict but failing to sustain peace due to its design. Even though it reacts to the conflicts, but it is not able to sustain the peace due to its design. And also diplomacy as a crisis theater, diplomacy is activated too late and withdrawn too early by the UNSC too early, leading to the abandonment of peace agreements and stalled transitions. So it shows that the article here highlights that the issues with the UN, whenever there is any country that is facing some issues, there is violence going on in any country. What we will see, the UN peacekeeping, UN will act to that very at the very later stage, and then when they have to leave, they will leave very early, so they will leave the country in the dilemma. What is the existing gaps? Peacekeeping missions stabilize ground but often lack a political strategy that we discussed. The Peace Building Commission lacks the mandate and authority to engage during active political transitions, resulting in the UN losing continuity and institutional memory. Further, what does it highlight? It further highlights the proposed solution functional reform, the need for BPSS. What is this? A board of peace and sustainable security. This is the proposed solution. It should be proposed to fill the institutional void by providing structural political engagement during and after conflict. So this there is the need that the board of peace and sustainable security should be there. Basis of authority, the BPSS can be established by the UN General Assembly using the existing authority under Article 22 of the Charter power to establish subsidiary bodies. What is the scope and function? It would occupy a clearly defined space focusing on post conflict political engagement, not early warning or pre conflict intervention. It tools, its tools would be political, not coercive, that is, reinforcing national dialogue, coordinating regional diplomacy. It would ensure peacekeeping missions are tied to achieve political pathways rather than becoming indefinite holding missions. It would subsume the current peace building commission. So this board of peace and sustainable security, it is the necessity of the time. It should be there, and can be created through what? It can be created through Article 22 by the United Nations General Assembly. Non-confrontational design, the BPSS would not challenge the primacy of the UNSC or encroach on the Secretary General's prerogatives. So it will not encroach the powers of the UNSC or Secretary General's powers. Now let's move forward. What is the structural and governing principles? Membership: rotating members of about 2 dozen states elected by UNGA for fixed term. Representation must be represent but not unwidely, with former regional distribution guaranteed. Africa, Asia, Europe, Latin America, and the Caribbean and West Asia. Participation: regional organization would be fully participants, not just observers, reflecting the ground reality. No veto privileges. The board would be built on participation, not inherited powers of veto. These are some functions given to this board. And sustainable security principles. This concept dictates that the lasting peace is achieved when security arrangements are linked to a long term political stability, governance, inclusion, responsible leadership. It respects sovereignty and avoids the risks associated with preventive intervention. Now, moving forward, let's see what else is given in the article here. What how to concluding rationale. Evolving responsibility, the author argues that the reformers should not be seen as an all or nothing choice between accepting the system or rewriting it entirely. Institution must evolve responsibly and goal. The BPSS would correct the UN's most damaging weakness, the absence of political continuity in the journey from war to peace. So in a nutshell, what does this article talk about? This article talks about, if we look at the UN, United Nations or UN peacekeepings, which we had seen often whenever the country is in conflict, we are seeing that even though when there is violence, they are able to curb that violence. But this political instability remains there. So, in order to overcome this issue, there is a need that there should be a body created by the Nations General Assembly by the name of BPSS, which will have this power to stabilize the to stabilize the country politically. So this is what exactly the author here argues, and it then gives what should be the structure of BPSS and how it should function, how countries should participate in it, whether there should be vetoes given to the particular countries or not. And the author is very much evident that there should be no vetoes given to any country. So with respect to this, let's see what kind of question can be asked from the article. Here the question says, with reference to the structural and functioning of the United Nations, consider the following statements. The UN General Assembly has the authority to establish subsidiary organs necessary for the performance of its function. Correct. The primary responsibility for the maintenance of internal peace and security is vested exclusively in the UN Security Council. That is true. The UN Peacekeeping Commission is one of the six principal organs of the United. No, it is incorrect. So, with respect to this question, the correct statement is option A. With this, I hope you had understood the article and you had understood the question too. Now, with this, let's move to the another article here and see what does it talk about. Well, here the article talks about Indian Railways has to is to patronize Abhar online store in bid to encourage local artisans. So they are going to patronize Abhar online store. So please remember this. A very basic prelims question can be asked about it. Abhar online store. It is being patronized by Indian Railways, and let's see what are the features of it. First, the Abhar initiative. Patronize, who is the patronizing body? Indian Railways. We understand platform hosted on the government's e-marketplace. Name Abhar online store. Purpose to procure gift items for official events, ceremonies, and functions held by the Indian Railways. So this is the purpose. So please do take the screenshot of this slide, or if you want to get the PPT, this PPT, then you know where to mail me. It is Salvation UPSC 136 at the rate gmail.com. Let's see what is further given in. What is the policy alignment? Promotes the government's vocal for local campaign. Social objective to promote social inclusion and create additional income opportunities for marginalized sections of the society, including indigenous tribes, handloom weavers, local artisans, rural entrepreneurs, and women-led enterprises. So this is the social objective of it. Product scope showcase a range of gift items, articles, hampers failing under the ambit of one district, one product. Geographical indication products, exclusive suppliers. The items are sourced exclusively from Central Cottage Industry, Emporium, Khadi and Village Industries Commission, and various central and state handicraft and handloom emporiums. Moving forward, connection to existing schemes, complementary scheme. The initiative complements the railways existing one state, one product scheme, which provides a physical marketplace for local indigenous products at railway stations. So this is the existing scheme which you should know. And promoting heritage, the larger goal is to support a sustainable and inclusive economic development while promoting India's rich heritage through handlooms, handicrafts, and artisanal goods. So with respect to this, let's see what kind of question can be asked in the exam. Here the question says, with reference to the promotion of indigenous products and local economy in India, consider the following statement. The one district, one product initiative is a trade specific scheme aimed solely at boosting exports of agricultural commodities. It is incorrect. The major reason is it is very categoric statement, and it is not solely for the agricultural commodities. Second, a geographical indication tag exclusively certifies the organic nature. No, origin. It specifies the origin, not organic nature. Second is also incorrect. Third, the government's e-marketplace platform facilitates online procurement of goods and services by various government departments and public sector undertakings. That is true. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is option B only, which is statement 3 only. This is the correct answer. With this, let's move to the last article of today's discussion, and let's have a look at that article. Well, the article here talks about the achievements of Union Health Ministry as it has set three Guinness World Records. So, what is this story here? Here, campaign and objective. The campaign name was Swasth Nari Shashakt Parivar Abhiyan, SNSPA, Healthy Woman Empowered Family Campaign. What is the nodal body? It is the Union Health Minister, and it was launched on September 17. Goal to promote comprehensive health, especially women's health, preventive care, and digital engagement in healthcare. So, why it got three Guinness records? Guinness World Records achieved three record one most people to register for a healthcare platform in 1 month. Scale over 3.21 crore, 32.1 million people. Record two most people to sign up for a breast cancer screening online in 1 week. Scale over 9.94 lakh. It is 9,000 9,94,000 people. Then record three most people to sign up for vital signs screening online in 1 week at the state level. Scale over 1.25 lakh people. So this is how these are the achievements achieved by the Health Government Health Ministry under this scheme. So, what is the significance and impact? It is first digital healthcare adoption. The campaign signifies a successful mass mobilization towards the use of digital health platforms, focus on promoting accessibility, accessibility, and accessibility, focus on promoting accessibility, 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 focus on Women's health, the specific record for breast cancer screening indicates a national priority and massive awareness drive for women's preventive health care and early detection of non-communicable diseases. Mass mobilization, the unprecedented registration numbers highlights the scale and effectiveness of nationwide health campaigns in India. Preventive care, the focus on vital signs screening points towards a thrust on preventive and primary health care at the grassroots level. So these are the this is the impact of this scheme, and this is how we had got three Guinness records booked under this scheme. So with respect to this, what kind of question we can expect in our prelims exam? The question is very much clear here. Consider the following pairs of government initiatives and their primary objective. First, Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, creating a seamless online platform for citizen healthcare records and digital healthcare services. That is true. Then Jan Ashwati scheme providing incentives for health workers in rural areas. It is incorrect because this scheme is related to generic medicines. Then the third national health mission, improving health indicators, particularly in maternal and child health. That is true. So with respect to this question, the correct statement would be statement 1 and statement 3, and the correct option would be only 2. With this, we had I'm going to conclude my discussion here. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you very much and have a nice day. And please do get connected with me at 6 because we are going to discuss the Indian history there. Thank you for staying with me.